Emotional maturity is not about silencing your feelings, it is about guiding them. It is the quiet courage to respond instead of react, the gentle strength to listen before you speak, the wisdom to forgive when pride wants to fight. It does not mean you feel less, it means you understand more. Many hearts have confused passion for permanence, mistaking the fire at the beginning for the foundation that will carry love through the years. But fire alone will burn itself out. It is maturity that steadies the flame, that makes it a source of warmth instead of destruction. When you enter into love without healing, you bring your wounds to another and expect them to stop the bleeding. That is not love, that is burden. Emotional maturity says, I will tend to my scars so I do not cut you with my broken edges. I will learn to carry my past without asking you to pay for it. To be mature in love is to know that relationships are not battles to be won, they are sanctuaries to be protected. The immature heart shouts, I must win. The mature heart whispers, we must heal. The immature spirit keeps score, counting mistakes like coins. The mature spirit releases, understanding that no one builds a future while dragging the weight of the past. Love without maturity is fragile, crumbling at the first storm. But love rooted in maturity bends with the wind, and when the storm passes it still stands. For maturity is patience, and patience is strength. It is knowing that silence can hold more love than shouting, that respect is sweeter than victory, that compromise is not weakness but wisdom. When two souls meet with maturity, their love does not tremble at shadows. It becomes a refuge, not a battlefield. It grows not because it is free from struggle, but because it chooses growth in the midst of struggle. It knows that forgiveness is greater than pride, that tenderness is stronger than anger, that peace within creates peace around. Emotional maturity is not a single lesson learned once. It is a daily practice, a choice made again and again. To love with maturity is to rise each day and say, I will show patience, I will show kindness, I will show understanding. And in doing so, love becomes more than a feeling, it becomes a way of living. Emotional maturity is not something we are born with. It is something we grow into, something life teaches us when the fires of pride burn too hot, when the storms of anger shake us loose, when the echoes of silence leave us aching for peace. It is not a certificate we earn once and for all. It is a practice, a daily choice, a discipline of the heart. It is the quiet decision to love wisely, even when loving wildly feels easier. A child inside each of us still wants what it wants. Now, without question, without patience. That child stamps its feet when it is not heard, shouts when it feels ignored, slams doors when it feels dismissed. But the soul that has learned emotional maturity knows that not every urge deserves a voice, not every hurt deserves a wound in return. It knows that restraint is not weakness but strength, and that gentleness is not frailty but power under control. Love without maturity is like a house built on sand. It looks strong when the sun is shining, but when the rains come, the foundation crumbles. And the rains always come. They come in misunderstandings, in disappointments, in temptations, in fatigue. Only emotional maturity lays the stone foundation that allows love to weather storms and remain standing. It is not the loud declaration of passion that proves love, but the steady endurance of patience, the quiet resilience of forgiveness, the humble grace of humility. When people meet and fall in love, the world feels like a song. Every word feels like music, every touch like a melody. But songs end if they are not written with care. Emotional maturity is the composer, the rhythm that steadies the music, the harmony that allows the song to continue long after the first note has faded. Without it, the music falters and silence fills the space where love once was. We often believe that love should be easy, that if it is meant to be, it will never test us, never stretch us, never challenge us. But true love is not found in ease. True love is refined in difficulty. It is revealed in the moments when forgiveness is needed, when patience is demanded, when compassion must be chosen over pride. Emotional maturity is what makes those choices possible. It allows love to grow deeper instead of withering away. Think of the oak tree. It begins as a small seed, fragile and easily broken. Yet with time and nourishment it sends roots deep into the soil. Those roots anchor it so that when storms shake the earth and winds howl, it does not fall. Emotional maturity is those roots in love. Without them, relationships are like leaves blown in the wind, tossed about, fragile, unstable. With them, relationships stand tall and endure. It is not enough to desire love. Desire is a spark, but sparks die quickly. It is not enough to feel love. Feelings rise and fall like tides. What sustains love is the discipline to keep showing up, to keep choosing, to keep nurturing even when it is not easy. Emotional maturity turns fleeting sparks into steady flames, feelings into foundations, desire into devotion. There will be moments when you are tempted to walk away because staying feels too heavy. There will be moments when silence seems safer than speaking, when pride feels more comfortable than humility, when blame feels easier than understanding. Immaturity will tell you to leave, to close the door, to let the walls rise higher. But emotional maturity asks you to pause, to breathe, to remember that love is not won in the comfort of ease but in the courage of endurance. A mature heart does not demand perfection. It does not expect its partner to always say the right words, always make the right choices, always meet every need. Instead, it recognizes humanity. It recognizes the beauty in flaws, the dignity in effort, the sacredness of growth. It celebrates progress, not perfection. It honors the journey, not just the destination. Immaturity criticizes what is missing. Maturity cherishes what is present. To love with maturity is to create a space where both people can be fully seen. It is to offer grace when the other stumbles, to offer patience when the other struggles, to offer gentleness when the other falters. It is to hold hands not only in laughter but also in tears, not only in triumph but also in trial. It is to be a shelter, not a storm. Many relationships fail not because love was absent, but because maturity was absent. The love was there, but it was smothered by pride, drowned by impatience, fractured by unforgiveness. Love without maturity is like water without a vessel. It spills, it scatters, it evaporates. Love with maturity is contained, directed, cherished. It nourishes instead of wasting away. There is a quiet beauty in the one who chooses maturity when anger demands retaliation. It is easy to strike back when hurt. It is easy to raise your voice when misunderstood. It is easy to walk away when you feel unseen. But emotional maturity chooses differently. It chooses to stay when leaving is easier. It chooses to listen when speaking feels urgent. It chooses to understand when judging feels natural. That is strength. That is love. Consider the way a musician plays an instrument. Anyone can strike the keys of a piano and make sound, but it takes patience, practice, and discipline to make music. In the same way, anyone can say the words of love, anyone can feel the rush of attraction, but it takes maturity to turn those feelings into harmony. Without it, love is noise. With it, love is music. Forgiveness is one of the greatest signs of maturity. To forgive is not to erase the past, but to choose not to live imprisoned by it. It is to say, I will not let yesterday's wounds steal today's peace. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It requires humility to let go of pride, courage to release resentment, and vision to see that the relationship is worth more than the argument. Without forgiveness, love suffocates. With forgiveness, love breathes again. Patience is another form of maturity. To be patient is to give space for growth, to allow time for healing, to understand that love is not a race but a journey. Impatience demands immediate satisfaction, but patience invests in the future. It says, I will wait because I know what we are building is worth it. In patience, love finds room to blossom. And then there is humility, the cornerstone of maturity. Humility is the ability to admit when you are wrong, the grace to apologize without conditions, the wisdom to learn from mistakes. Pride may win arguments, but humility wins hearts. Pride builds walls, but humility builds bridges. In relationships, humility is the difference between separation and connection, between bitterness and healing, between love lost and love sustained. To love with maturity is to understand that love is not always dramatic. It is not always grand gestures and sweeping declarations. More often, it is found in the quiet moments. Making tea for someone tired, holding them when words are not enough, listening when their voice trembles, staying present when life feels heavy. These simple acts, repeated daily, build a love that is steady and lasting. Life will test every relationship. There will be storms you never expected, losses you never imagined, disappointments you never planned for. Immaturity will see these as reasons to give up. Maturity will see them as opportunities to grow closer. It will remind you that love is not proven in sunshine but in storms. Anyone can stand together in the light. It takes maturity to stand together in the dark. And so, emotional maturity is not just the foundation of lasting relationships. It is the very heartbeat of them. Without it, love is fragile, temporary, shallow. With it, love is deep, enduring, eternal. It is not that mature love never feels pain, but that it knows how to heal. It is not that mature love never argues, but that it knows how to reconcile. It is not that mature love never falls, but that it always rises again. Emotional maturity is not a crown we wear, it is a posture we practice. It is in the way we choose to speak when the heart is hot with anger. It is in the way we pause when words sit sharp on the tongue. It is in the way we let silence stretch long enough for wisdom to arrive before we answer. Anyone can love when skies are clear, but to love when storms gather, to love when misunderstandings pile like heavy stones, to love when patience wears thin, that is the mark of maturity. A lasting relationship is not built by accident. It is built brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day. Some believe love is a lightning strike, fierce and sudden. But lightning burns out as quickly as it comes. Mature love is a sunrise, slow, steady, certain. It brightens little by little, and once it fills the sky, it sustains the day. We live in a world that teaches us to chase quick pleasure, instant answers, easy exits. But love worth keeping is not built on ease. It asks of us discipline. It asks of us to swallow pride when it swells too big. It asks us to step back when emotions rise like a tide that threatens to sweep us away. It asks us to see the person in front of us not as an opponent but as a partner. Emotional maturity does not seek victory in arguments, it seeks peace in the relationship. Think of two hands clasped together. They are not always the same size, not always equal in strength. One hand may tremble while the other holds firm. One hand may falter while the other steadies. This is what mature love looks like. It is not a perfect balance at every moment. It is the willingness to carry the weight when the other is too tired to lift. Immature love says, I will hold you only if you hold me. Mature love says, even when you stumble, I will not let go. And yet maturity is not self-sacrifice without limit. It does not erase your voice in order to keep another comfortable. It does not silence your needs for the sake of false harmony. Emotional maturity means you know how to love another without abandoning yourself. It is knowing that boundaries are not walls but bridges. Bridges that protect respect on both sides. A mature heart can say, I love you, and because I love you, I will also love myself enough to speak the truth. We must remember that anger itself is not the enemy. Sadness is not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy. These emotions are teachers. But immaturity lets them rule the heart like tyrants, while maturity listens and learns without surrendering. Anger may knock at the door, but maturity decides whether to let it sit at the table. Fear may whisper at midnight, but maturity chooses whether to believe its story. This inner mastery spills outward into relationships, shaping the way we love, the way we forgive, the way we endure. Have you ever seen two people who have walked together for decades? Watch them carefully. You may not see fireworks. You may not hear endless declarations. But you will see something richer: the ease of familiarity, the gentleness of shared memory, the quiet joy of surviving storms side by side. Their love is not loud, but it is strong. It is not boastful, but it is enduring. That kind of love is built not on fleeting passion but on maturity. It is the harvest of years of choosing understanding over pride, forgiveness over resentment, patience over haste. Many young hearts think maturity kills romance, but the truth is maturity deepens romance. Immature love seeks thrill after thrill, leaving behind ashes where fire once burned. Mature love turns sparks into embers, and embers into warmth that lasts through the night. It is not that passion disappears. It is that passion finds roots. It is no longer wildfire, it is steady light. Emotional maturity teaches us that silence can be sacred. Not every silence is a wall. Sometimes it is a pause for peace, a moment for breath, a space for reflection. The immature fear silence, filling it with noise, with accusations, with frantic words. But the mature know how to sit in silence together, knowing that love speaks even when lips do not move. There will be seasons when love feels heavy, when life piles burdens high. Bills, illnesses, disappointments, distance. All these weigh on the heart. Immaturity makes these weights heavier, adding blame, adding resentment, adding impatience. But maturity lightens the load by carrying together. It asks, how can I help? Instead of, why me? It says, we are in this together. Instead of, this is your fault. In that unity the weight becomes bearable. Forgiveness is one of the highest callings of mature love. Forgiveness does not erase pain, but it keeps pain from poisoning. To forgive is to look at the wound and still choose to love the hand that left the scar. It is to believe that healing is worth more than holding on to hurt. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it is remembering with mercy. It is choosing love over bitterness, every single time. And what of joy? Mature love does not neglect joy. It delights in the simple, the shared meal, the walk in the evening, the inside joke, the quiet embrace. Immature love chases big moments, constant excitement, endless drama. Mature love knows that joy is in the everyday. It finds beauty in the ordinary, and in doing so, it makes the ordinary sacred. We are all learning, stumbling, rising again. None of us is perfectly mature all the time. There will be moments when tempers flare, when words escape before wisdom arrives, when pride blocks the path of humility. But maturity does not demand perfection, it demands persistence. It is the willingness to keep trying, to keep choosing love over ego, to keep coming back even after failing. That persistence is what makes relationships last. Love is not a fairy tale. It is not a picture frozen in perfection. It is a living, breathing bond that grows or withers depending on how it is fed. Emotional maturity is the water, the sunlight, the soil. Without it, the bond dries up. With it, the bond flourishes. And perhaps the most beautiful truth is this: when we practice emotional maturity in our relationships, we do not only build love with another, we also build love within ourselves. We become calmer, kinder, more patient, more forgiving. We grow into stronger versions of ourselves. And in turn, we inspire those around us, children, friends, family, to do the same. Mature love does not just sustain relationships, it transforms communities. So the work of maturity is never wasted. Every moment you choose to forgive instead of resent, every time you choose to listen instead of shout, every time you choose patience instead of pride, you are not only keeping a relationship alive, you are shaping the kind of person you are becoming. That is the true power of emotional maturity. Lasting love is not built in the fire of passion alone, but in the steady flame of maturity. It is born when two souls decide to rise above ego, to heal instead of hurt, to build instead of break. Emotional maturity is not about never falling. It is about rising together every time. It is about seeing love not as possession, but as partnership, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a lifelong choice. So, let us love with patience. Let us forgive with courage. Let us speak with kindness. Let us listen with humility. For when we choose maturity, we choose love that endures, and when we choose love that endures, we do more than build relationships. We build legacies.